The courtroom was packed, the air thick with tension. At the center stood a man dressed in the finest suit, sharp, polished, and confident. His name was Mr. Clayton, a wealthy businessman known across the town for his sharp tongue and even sharper deals. His eyes sparkled with arrogance as he glanced down at the man standing before him. Clayton seemed to believe the courtroom was his stage, and everyone else just actors beneath his feet. Opposite him stood Samuel, a farmer. His clothes were worn and dusty from years of hard work under the sun. His hands, rough and calloused, trembled slightly as he waited for the trial to begin. Samuel was poor, yes, but there was a quiet strength in the way he held his head high. He wasn't used to fancy rooms or polished floors. This courtroom felt cold and strange, but Samuel had come here for one reason: to fight for the small piece of land that his family had cared for generations. Whispers spread through the crowd. Everyone knew this case wasn't just about land. It was about power, pride, and justice. Samuel had accused Mr. Clayton of cheating him out of his rightful property. The rich man's laughter cut through the silence when it was his turn to speak. "Look at this poor farmer," Clayton sneered loudly. "Trying to challenge someone like me? Maybe you should go back to your fields and leave the big decisions to grown men." His words were sharp, filled with contempt for Samuel's simple life. But behind Samuel's eyes there was a fire, a hope that justice might still win, no matter how unlikely it seemed. Samuel's story began long before the courtroom drama unfolded. He grew up in a small village where life was hard but hearts were warm. From the moment the sun peeked over the hills, Samuel was out in the fields. His hands learned to plant seeds and pull weeds while the world was still quiet and still asleep. His clothes were always worn thin and his skin weathered by the sun, but he never complained. His family was simple but close-knit. His wife Mary was his rock, always patient, always kind. Their 2 children ran barefoot through the dirt roads full of laughter and dreams. The village itself was small, with neighbors who looked out for one another. They shared what little they had, and even in tough times they found reasons to smile. The small piece of land they called home was more than dirt and grass. It was their future. It was where Samuel's father had taught him the value of hard work and honesty. It was where the family grew their food, where their children learned to play safely. Losing that land would mean losing everything: security, dignity, and hope. But Mr. Clayton saw that land differently. To him it was just a valuable asset, something to be taken, bought cheaply, or snatched through tricks. Samuel remembered the first meeting. Clayton had smiled, but his eyes were cold. He offered money, but it was an insult to Samuel's pride. When Samuel refused, the rich man's tone changed. Lawyers showed up with confusing papers, and whispers of debts and unpaid taxes started to swirl. Threats were made in quiet rooms, promises broken, and little lies told to make Samuel look like a fool. Samuel felt fear but also anger. This wasn't just about land anymore, it was about justice and fairness. Late at night he sat by the flickering candlelight talking to Mary and the children. "We have to fight," he told them softly. "They think we are nothing, but this land is our life." Mary's eyes welled with tears, but she nodded. "We will stand with you," she said. Their neighbors came by to offer quiet words of encouragement and small gifts: a basket of eggs, a jar of honey. Things that reminded Samuel he was not alone. Though the odds seemed stacked against him, Samuel never gave up hope. Each day he carried the weight of his family's future and their belief in something better. And now, standing in that courtroom, that hope burned stronger than ever. He wasn't just fighting for dirt, he was fighting for his family's soul. The courtroom buzzed quietly as the trial began. The rich man's lawyer rose first, his voice dripping with arrogance. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, sweeping his gaze over the room, "this case is nothing but the desperate complaint of a man who failed to understand simple business. My client, Mr. Clayton, is a man of honor and success. To suggest he would steal from a poor farmer is laughable." The lawyer's words were sharp and mocking. He made it clear he believed Samuel's case was beneath the court's attention. The judge watched silently, eyes steady, neither nodding nor shaking his head. When the farmer took the stand, the rich man himself leaned back in his chair, a smirk playing on his lips. Every time Samuel struggled to explain his side, Clayton's laughter echoed through the room, loud, cruel, and full of scorn. It was clear the rich man saw Samuel as nothing more than a joke, a simple farmer who dared to challenge his power. But Samuel's lawyer was different. Calm and steady, he spoke with honesty and clarity. "Your Honor," he said, "this is not about wealth or status. It is about right and wrong. Mr. Samuel's family has cared for this land for generations. The evidence will show that Mr. Clayton used threats and false papers to try and take what is not his." One by one, neighbors and friends from the village came forward. They told stories of Mr. Clayton's greed, how he pushed poor families off their land, how he cared only for profit. They spoke of the fear he spread, the broken promises, and the cold way he treated those who trusted him. Throughout it all, the judge listened carefully, his expression unreadable. His silence made the courtroom grow heavy with tension. No one knew what he was thinking, but his eyes flickered with a seriousness that made even Clayton pause. Then, in the middle of a witness's testimony, Clayton's laughter broke out again, louder this time, filled with a cruel confidence. It was a sound that seemed to fill the room, trying to drown out the truth being told. He sat back smugly, sure of his victory. The judge raised his hand, calling for order. "Enough," he said firmly. "We will take a short recess before the final arguments." As the room emptied slowly, whispers filled the air. The tension was thick, like the calm before a storm. Everyone waited, holding their breath, wondering how this fight between a poor farmer and a rich man would end. The courtroom slowly filled again after the recess. Everyone settled back into their seats, the weight of the trial pressing heavier than before. The judge's eyes scanned the room, resting finally on Mr. Clayton. "Mr. Clayton," the judge said in a calm but commanding voice, "please stand." The rich man rose, puzzled, his confident smile beginning to fade. The judge looked directly at him. The silence in the room thick and heavy. "There is something I have kept hidden for many years," the judge began, his voice steady but filled with a quiet pain. "Something that changes everything in this courtroom today." All eyes widened, breath caught in throats. Samuel shifted uncomfortably, sensing the weight of what was coming. The judge took a deep breath and continued. "Many years ago, when I was a young man, I made a choice that shaped my life forever. I had a brief, secret relationship, one that ended with a child born in silence and shadows." His voice faltered for just a moment. "That child is you, Mr. Clayton." The room went still. The rich man's eyes widened in shock. His mouth opened but no words came out. Samuel stared in disbelief, the tension thickening like a storm about to break. The judge's gaze softened but his tone grew firmer. "I recognized your name, your face. But I said nothing, hoping the truth would never have to come out. I kept silent to protect my family's reputation, but also because I did not know how to face the man you had become." Clayton's confident mask cracked. He looked down, the arrogant laughter vanished, replaced by something raw and vulnerable. Turning to the crowd, the judge explained, "I have watched you both through this trial. Samuel, your honesty and courage in the face of great odds. And you, Clayton, your pride and arrogance that blinds you to the harm you've caused." The courtroom was heavy with emotion. Some faces showed shock, others disbelief. But everyone felt the truth settle like a stone in their hearts. The judge's voice softened again. "Today, I call you not only Mr. Clayton but my son. It is time you face your past, your actions, and the man you want to become." The words hung in the air. Clayton stood frozen, a mixture of guilt, confusion, and something like regret crossing his face. Samuel looked at the two men, the judge and the rich man, and realized this case was never just about land. It was about family, mistakes, and the chance for a new beginning. The courtroom waited, silent, as the judge prepared to deliver a verdict that would change all their lives forever. The judge's voice broke the heavy silence. "After hearing all the evidence, and considering everything revealed today, this court rules in favor of Samuel. The land belongs to him, as it always should have." A soft murmur ran through the courtroom. Samuel's shoulders relaxed for the first time in weeks. His family, waiting outside, would soon hear the news. a victory born from truth and courage. Mr. Clayton lowered his head, no longer laughing or smirking. The weight of the judge's words settled on him deeply. For the first time he faced the pain his pride had hidden. He was humbled, forced to look back on the choices that brought him here. The lies, the greed, the broken trust. Samuel didn't celebrate loudly. Instead, he held Mary's hand tightly, their eyes meeting with quiet gratitude. Around them, neighbors smiled softly, sharing in a victory that was about more than land. It was about respect and justice. The judge looked directly at Clayton. You have a chance to change, to make amends, and to build a better future. But it will not be easy. If you choose this path, know that I will be here to guide you. Clayton nodded slowly, the first step toward redemption beginning in his eyes. As the courtroom emptied, a sense of hope lingered. Truth had won, family secrets had come to light, and a simple farmer had shown the power of standing up for what is right, no matter the cost. In the end, it was not wealth or status that mattered. It was honesty, courage, and the strength to believe in justice. Sometimes, pride and wealth blind people to what truly matters. But truth and kindness have a way of shining through, even in the darkest moments. Family isn't just about blood, it's about respect, humility, and the courage to face our mistakes. This story reminds us that no matter where we come from, fairness and compassion can change lives. When we stand up for what is right, we not only protect others, we find the strength to heal ourselves. In the end, it's the heart that judges us, not our riches or titles.